right, welcome today to the Community Scrum for Fibonacci. Thanks for joining us in this session. In this session, we'll just be discussing the updates for Fibonacci, what it is about actually, what we've done so far, and what Fibonacci is. We'll go through a quick overview of what it is and what the members of the Fibonacci community can benefit from it. And then we'll look into the upcoming projects, what we're going to have in the coming weeks. So we'll look into what we'll be discussing in the coming sessions. All right, so can you see my screen just to make sure that you are able to see what I'm showing here?
Yes.
Okay, so in the community Scrum, right, so first we define what is a Scrum. So a Scrum basically is retrieved or copied from the Scrum concept in the game Rugby. And in this game, as you can see here in the picture, Scrum is a method of coming together, right? So that is basically what a Scrum is. It's coming together of participants so that they can get their heads together and get their ideas all at the same time as quickly as possible. In software, we call Scrum, we call this the practice. We use this as the practice to have regular updates. So members of a team may coordinate with one another so that they have an idea of what's going on and of what's been done and what they're going to work on until the next Scrum. So we'll look into the details of what a Scrum is as part of the sessions related to software development or agile software development. Okay, now for Fibonacci, sorry, just give me a second. Give me a second here, just right. Hi, Michael.
Hello.
Hi, sorry. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Not bad, not bad. Sorry, just give me a second. I'm just pasting a link to another participant. Fortunately, I wasn't able to give it to him. So yeah, he's about to join. All right. Okay, so going back, so what is the Scrum? The Scrum is this meeting that we have here. We're just defining, by the way, Michael, what we're doing at the moment. So this is what we're doing is a Scrum. So this is like a group meeting. So it's supposed to be as short as possible. In software development, we try to do it within 5 minutes, but we do it every day. You know, we do it like at the start of the day at 9 a.m. or otherwise at the end of the day. But in our case, since we're doing it on a weekly basis, you know, not to take too much of the time of the contributors, we can do it once a week and hopefully for 30 minutes only. All right. So a Scrum is like, it only answers 3 questions, right? So the first question is what's been done, what's in progress, and what will be done before the next Scrum. So those are the 3 things. And that's what actually we're going to go through today. So in this Fibonacci Community Scrum, we'll look at those 3 questions in the context of the Fibonacci community. All right? So what have we done? Hi Arjay, how are you?
Yeah, good.
Good, okay, all right. So we're just discussing the Scrum concept, and I'm sure you're very much familiar with this because we did this for years in our previous team.
Yep.
Right. So, right. So I'm just saying that we're doing a community version. So this is like a weekly Scrum. If we can maintain it, let's see. But basically, we'll just try to do it whenever most of the members are available, so we get up to date with how things are going in our projects. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
All right. So In the Fibonacci channel, we have already created a Fibonacci channel, by the way. So that's up in YouTube. So if you want to catch up on any of the projects related that we've been doing, you can just go to the Fibonacci channel of YouTube. So it's just this word minus, it's the word Fibonacci minus the letter I. So you just need to search for that. Now we have 5 neural related videos. So if you'd like to catch up on the neural project, just go there. Then we also have the Fibonacci website. So we just have a very basic version at the moment. So it's still under construction, but the address is fibona.cc. Right. So we'll explain what this project is about in the later section of this session. Okay, so that's fibona.cc, and that's for the Fibona Community Center. So that's where we will collaborate with all our projects. Okay, right. So that's what we have done so far. And by the way, the neural videos that we've been doing, they really wouldn't have been possible without the help of the contributors who've been participating in our sessions. I think Michael has the most attendance since we started.
Do I?
So, yeah. There should be something. You should get something. Let's think about.
I look at what you're doing and I'm like, how do you do everything that you do? You mustn't sleep.
Yeah, no, I do actually. I slept a lot this morning, especially. Thanks for that. Okay. All right. And yeah, my father as well. He's been working with me on this since I think the past 2 years. We've been discussing this project for for a very long time. And there are others who aren't able to attend, but I think they'll be joining in a while. And yeah, so yeah, thanks for the contributions so far, and we have those content now in YouTube. Okay, so now that we're done with the updates, let's discuss the Fibonacci concept, right? So we're trying to use this book as the inspiration for this project. So it's The Art of Community by Jono Bacon, and he basically has created a book which discusses what's required in communities. So it can be online communities, it can be physical based communities. And I've been reading this book, and I think it can really help anyone who wants to get an idea of how we can manage this community that we're working on, right? Now, what is Fibonacci? So the first thing that you'll notice with Fibonacci, if you're familiar with this word, is that it doesn't have the letter I. And that was intentional because it's a bit cheesy, but the reason is, it will cause the reader of this word to ask, what's missing, right? What's not there? And the answer is I, it's you. So, no collaboration, no project is possible without the help of everyone involved in the project. So every I counts. So that's why Fibonacci is only possible because of you. All right. Now, what is Fibonacci? If in case you're asking, Fibonacci sequence is mysteriously appears in a lot of places. So in mathematics, you see that there in the Fibonacci sequence. In software, programmers have been inspired enough to use it in their algorithms for search techniques, for data structures, and for graphs, right? It can be seen in nature. So in biological settings, you will see it in how trees branch, the arrangement of leaves on stem, in a pineapple, in artichokes, ferns, and so on. So it's coming up everywhere, right? So apparently it looks like a pattern for growth, right? So that's why if you go to the website, even though it's very basic at the moment, we use that as an inspiration for the slogan, right? So it's grow together, okay? And by the way, everything that we're doing is tentative until we agree, okay, that that's final. So just feel free to make suggestions or comments, whenever you like. So Fibonacci basically is a community project, and we're aiming to use it as a way or as a platform for collaborative growth, right? It is open source, and using this platform, any member can create or host projects, okay? They can include startup projects. So if you have an idea that you want to work on, you can host it there, you can declare it there. Then you can then create content video, right? So that you can share your skills, right? And then you can hold events so that members can participate and members can learn from them. Now, what will that benefit you, right? So as a creator or as a creating member, you can then use your own projects to reinforce the learning of other members. So in my case, what I'm planning to do in the coming weeks is I'm going to start sharing, the skills of programming and software development in general. So you have agile practices, you have testing, you have design, software design. So I'll be sharing that in content videos. However, I'll use Neural, for example, as the project that individual members can contribute to. So the benefit to that is we'll have a community created software, and then you can learn in actual real world projects. So that in case, if you want to explore a career in software development, then you can use Neural to show that you have actually developed this or parts of this software using the things that you learned in the community. So it's collaborative. And I think that's really important because when, for example, in my case, back in college, when we developed software, there would be 3 of us or 5 of us in a team. But usually what happens is there's only 1 or 2 developers, right? And during those times, you're not able to simulate the environment wherein you're working with a team effectively. So what we'll do is here in Fibonacci, we'll use the best practices in collaborative development. So you get a first-hand experience of how it is to create projects in software. And of course, this is not only limited to software projects. We'll also be sharing projects like video creation. How do you create content online? How do you make these Zoom sessions and then create a video based on it? So you're able to post lessons or video content in the YouTube, and you can then share it with anyone. So that's another aspect that can be explored in this project. So that's basically Fibonacci in very simple terms. Now, there are other parts to it which we'll discuss in another session because they're a bit more complicated. Like, for example, the concept of social capital, which is mentioned in The Art of Community. We'll be using social capital, and we'll call it mana, actually, mana. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but mana is the concept of energy in magic, or I think in...
It's cool. It's good.
Do you like that? Do you know that game, Magic the Gathering?
It's pretty much any game where you've got magic spells, right?
Exactly.
You've got a mana pool and you use it, and then you have to fill it back up.
Exactly. And I learned just this week that it came from the Maori, from the Samoans.
Oh, really?
The term, and it's really interesting because they have a similar term in Egypt. They have a similar term in the Israelites, and it's interesting. But basically, we're going to use mana to track contributions, right? So whenever you ask someone to work on a task that you created, then mana will deduct from you and then increase in that other person who worked on that task. But it's a bit large, so we're going to discuss that in a separate session. I think it's best to discuss it in an in-person session. So let's look into that. But basically what Fibonacci will turn into is, it's like a game. It's going to be like a platform game wherein the missions are the projects, you know, and then people, you can earn mana by creating sessions, and then you can share it with other people, and so on. So it's a bit large, but I'm sure together we can come up with and finalize this system, because hopefully we can use this platform to grow together. Right?
That's cool.
All right. So, okay, as I said here, we need further brainstorming for this. So that's something else. Then what are the benefits if we participate in Fibonacci? So we may earn extra income. So you can, each work task which is declared by a project creator can declare an amount for that task. So let's say working on this page of this website is $50, okay? Then it can be a first in, first out promissory note, right? So that when the project earns, you can be the first one to earn, since you're the first one who contributed to this project. Right? So everyone or anyone who wants to contribute may earn, because what we can do is certain tasks have monetary value and certain tasks don't. So we're able to indicate priority. Otherwise, some tasks may not be monetized, so that they can just be used for practice, so that people who access your content can use them for practice and learn. They can learn and do what they've been taught in the sessions. Now, you can, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, the Japanese concept of learning via teaching. So it's like this samurai, to be able to know that he has effectively taught his students, what he would do is he would ask the last student to teach him in turn, what he taught. So he'll know if he was effective at teaching. So we can then teach via learning using neural. Okay, so you can learn via sessions, practice, and actual projects. Then we can use neural to, Fibonacci to support the cost. So let's say the payment for a session, so it can be free, it can be mana, or it can be donation to a cause, right? Or to an online fundraiser. It's really up to you as the content creator. So I possibly in the case of Hannah, since Hannah is an accountant, she can create content like for personal accounting, or so that when you avail of the services of Hannah, it will be easier for her to consolidate your finances. Okay? So when she creates a session for that, for example, then she can say that, okay, for this session, to be able to attend this session, or to be able to access the recording of this session, you just need to make a donation to this group, right? Or she can also say, you can contribute to my project. So you can help me create a system to better manage my company. All right. So those are the main benefits of Fibonacci. Now we have a tracking channel that we've been running in in Slack. So I don't know if you've opened it yet, but basically you can join it if you like. But what we've been doing so far is we've been recording all the contributions in this channel, which we started. So we still have an Excel in Google Docs, but I think that needs to be updated because the structure has changed a lot since then. So we're just putting it here now, but soon we're hoping to migrate this data in a neural network.
Yeah, as long as you don't lose the data in Slack, right?
Exactly. So at least we have it.
How many messages does it keep in the free plan?
Yeah. Good question. I think we'll have to know. Yeah, I'll have to determine.
Or I should go back and go, damn, it's all gone.
Exactly. I might as well save it. there a way to save it now? Okay, I'll save it after this session. I'll try to copy it, yeah. So, and some of the mana or some of the sessions that we're going to record may not be historical, may not have records. So if, for example, you're joining the community as, let's say, as a medical practitioner, right? And you're interested in creating a session related to medicine, let's say self-care and so on, then what you can do is we'll create a system where we can recognize pre-existing experience, right? So that that can be considered as part of the experience that you're bringing in to the community. Okay. All right. So the next one is so we have the tracking sessions here, right? So just let me know. Just feel free to join this channel in Fibonacci, so you can make recordings of your contributions. Then feel free to make corrections as well if you think any of the recorded items have not been accurate. Just let us know so we can update it. What are the teams that are there currently in Fibonacci, right? So we have development. So this is the computer science team. We have documentation, which is at the moment being done by Rose. So Rose is with us here in the session. And so documentation is primarily focused in making historical records so we can get back to them in the future. Then testing or quality assurance, so we're able to test the software that we're releasing. Information security, so this is something that we'll expand on later. But to give you a brief idea, I'm planning to have sessions to discuss how we can secure our data, right? So just last week, there was news about 100 million Capital One customers. So their data have been compromised. And the unfortunate thing is that we are getting overwhelmed by technology, and there's no guidance whatsoever to non-technical people on how they can best use technology to safeguard themselves. So I'm hoping to start sessions on that. So, and hopefully to use Neural in that track as well. But since at the moment there are no Neural projects which are currently in production, then we'll use existing solutions for this purpose. So one of them, for example, is this one that I use. So I'm using a password database, which is just in one place, right? So it holds all my passwords in just one folder. And for example, this is an encrypted drive, so I'm just not able to show it to you, but I'm using a padlock drive. Let me see if I can search for that, padlock 3. Right, so I'm using this drive to hold all of my documents and all of my passwords. So I have taken down all of my passwords and sensitive information online. So everything is now here, and this is hardware encrypted. So that is something that we'll be discussing, and we'll discuss, the best approaches, the best practices, and of course we'll be updating those practices since technology evolves as we go. Right. Then running. So this is a bit different from the other themes that we have. This is about actually running. How to just this week we did a 21K. So me and my friends, we did a 21K for the Run Melbourne, and this is a different type of a session that we're in. We'll see how we can share that ability. So you can use it for fitness and weight loss. Then another theme might be well-being. So we have a friend, Antea. So she's one of our colleagues in one of our pre-accelerator that we worked with, Hannah. So we'll have to ask her if she's interested in hosting maybe a session in Fibonacci. Okay, and books. So we'll be discussing books and software, books in information security, in community management, any book that you'd like to share, so you can create content online that you think will help the other members of the community. All right. So, are there any questions regarding what we've discussed so far? Is that clear?
It's clear.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's the first 2 parts of the Scrum. Now, what are we planning in the next session? So, in the coming Fibonacci sessions, we'll discuss VS Code. So this is this app here, right? So VS Code is one of the most popular apps right now for software development, especially in JavaScript. So I don't think I have to show you, but you can just Google it yourself. It's getting very popular and it's very useful because you can use it to edit text files like this, and you can use it to manage your information, and you can use it to actually code and do your tests in software. So we'll have a quick session to discuss this because this is very useful. And since if you don't want to use the full C# IDE, which is Visual Studio, you can use this to code. Right? So you can, it's like the new Swiss knife, in Windows. And it's used, I think it's available in Mac as well. So yeah. Okay. Then we'll have a session on C#. So that's actually the second half of this session that we're having. So we're going to discuss that in a while. And it's only meant for developers. So if you're not interested in software development, then feel free to exclude yourself from the next half. But if you are, and let's say you're curious, then feel free to join us in that part. Then we'll look at video production. So anyone can create content. So just by using Zoom, which is what I've been doing for the past month, you can then use this app. It's a free app, which is what's great about it. You can then use this app to create a video production. So you can create the title screen, the end screen, you edit the audio, and so on. And we'll show you how you can upload that to YouTube. So the whole end-to-end process, we'll discuss in that. Then we'll look at the classical elements. So this is a bit related to the mana concept that we're discussing. So we'll look at the 4 main points that you need to be mindful of when you're working with information systems.
Okay.
Right. So we'll discuss the details in a later session, in that respective session. But the part wherein, I think the first one that we'll discuss is security, because this is, I think, the most beneficial and the easiest to implement. Because what you first need to do is to get all of your passwords offline, get them removed from your online. I mean, that's the recommended approach. It's up to you if you follow that, but it's just the recommended approach so that there's less attack surface. So it's just everything is with you. Right? It's not scattered in several places. And another session is how do you transcribe? So how do you document videos? Because this is important, especially when you're editing videos. You can't just be creating content. It would be great if you are able to transcribe those videos so you can use them in any format. So you have textual versions of those videos. Okay, now for development, what we are doing at the moment is the Cortex Spiker. So this is where we left off in Neural 103, and this is actually needed for Neural 104, which is another session that we're preparing for. So we need to, this has to be completed before then, and let's see if we can get the help of the other, of those interested in the C# track, and if possible, if they're able to learn us, and able to integrate that in their practices, then maybe they can contribute to this component of neural. But I'm trying to target within this week, next week, or 2 weeks from now, so then we can have the neural 104 after that, right? And another project that we're working on at the moment is MIT 6001 adaptation, and that's actually being explored by my dad at the moment. So Nelson is playing with the Dash browser so that he can simulate the concepts being discussed in the 6001 course of MIT. So we had a very exciting discussion just this week about certain examples there, which I think can be done easily in neural. But the challenge is that we first need to have the spiker in place to be able to really fully simulate this. Okay. Now, with regards to the backlog, there is a use case which was discovered just this week because of this tragic news in local news here in Australia. So there was an 11-month-old twins. They died actually in their car because their father forgot that they were there, and that's really unfortunate. But if, for example, we had a heart rate monitor for each of our family members or even our pets, then we'll know when their heart rate values are going up, and we'll see it in the same brain. So those values will be recorded in the same neural network. So we'll have full awareness. So we'll then be able to add sensors as we will, as we want to our brain. So it's not like right now our brains are overwhelmed with information and we don't know how to manage it because all of that information is in several places. Now, InfoSafe is a very interesting project, and I'm really excited about this. Remember the news about the Capital One wherein credentials were compromised? So
Yeah.
InfoSafe is about reversing the information flow, right? So what we're going to do is when someone or when a bank, for example, needs information from a customer, some information should not be at their side, right? So like for example, just a very basic example, a phone number or health information, right? So what can be done is that information, that sensitive information, can just be hosted in your brain, right? And any organization who needs access to that information has to have an account that you, as the owner of the brain, has the capability to revoke or to restrict at will. So we're putting it the other way around. So any organization should not have your sensitive information. Those organizations should only access those information on demand, and then provided when at full awareness of the owner of the brain. So that's InfoSafe, and that is that's another application of neural. So we'll go into the details in a later session of this project. And another project which I discussed briefly with Arjay is the creation of a file system based on neural. Right. So this file system that I created to manage my information is very restrictive. Following the folder structure that's been there for decades now, it is not very flexible compared to neural. Right. So your files, for example, can only be contained in one exact folder. And using a neural network, you'll be able to use multiple folders for a same file. So let's say you have a file like this, for example, SZ. Right. So what you can do is you can put that file in a January folder, an important folder, and a work folder. So you can then navigate as flexibly as you want. All right. So are there any questions about what we're planning? Is there something you think that we need to consider in the coming sessions so that we can include them in our brainstorming? That's fine.
I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm good as well.
Okay. Thanks. All right. So let's now go through the C# track. Right. So this is for the software development component. Okay. So where's that? Right. So the first thing that we need to brainstorm on, just feel free to provide your suggestions. What is the most suitable schedule, that you think will be easy for everyone to join? Because we can do it. I'll just start the brainstorming. So we can do it on a weekly basis. So maybe in the afternoon, Saturday, after the neural sessions, we can have it at 4 o'clock, for example. Is that fine? How about you, Michael? Is that fine for you as well? I think Hannah.
What time did you say? Sorry.
4 o'clock, Saturday.
Normally it's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So 4 o'clock on Saturday.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure I just saw.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm pretty sure I just saw on Ozbargain that there was a free C# Udemy course that was like basically like a 2-hour one.
Okay.
But that might help and augment some of the stuff that you're going through, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll have a look and see if I can find it again.
Yeah. Okay. So the Udemy course is available. And it's free, right?
Here we go. So C# for beginners, learn coding with C#. I'll put that in the chat.
Okay.
Currently free. I don't know how good it is. I haven't done it yet. But it goes through some of the stuff that you're talking about as well.
Right.
Well, I assume.
However, yeah. So Udemy, I just added it here so we can look at it as well.
Cool.
There's another website which may help us, which is this one. I'm just going to put it here. And you don't need to install anything locally. So you'll be able to go through the concepts one by one without, getting distracted by installation and so on. So it's all here. These are the basic things that you need to learn. And it's self-paced, I think similar to Udemy. However, you'll be doing the coding immediately within 3 minutes. All right. So what we'll be doing in the sessions, in the C# sessions, is it will be self-paced, guided, and then we'll have tests, to check if you are able to understand the topics in the lessons. However, I think it may also be good to go through this session, which is the first, the 6001 session in MIT, because, as a software developer, C# won't be the only language that you'll be going through. So it's I think the session, this 6001 session, if you haven't gone through it yet, can provide a very solid foundation when it comes to understanding languages. In my case, when I had to go through different languages in my career, I didn't have a framework to hang those concepts to. So I think having something like this will help you understand it easier. Okay. Then after you go through the basics of the C# course, so it can be the Udemy, or just feel free to give suggestions and share with the rest of the other members. But once we're done with those, the basics, we'll start with the installation of Visual Studio. Right? And what do you need? And then we'll go through the Visual Studio interface. How do you work with it? Then we look at agile practices. So what's Scrum, what's Kanban, and so on. So how do we manage pull or work tasks? So we'll see how we can integrate these practices so we know how to work with a team. How are we able to develop parts of software and get it all to integrate together.
Is that including how to use GitHub? I have no idea how to use Git.
Oh, that's great. Yes. GitHub, definitely. So we'll go through that as well. So it's end to end. The whole works to be able to work in software. Right. And pair programming. So we'll do a bit of pair programming. So it's like working together on the same task. So one is able to learn from another, and it works two ways. So it's a very, very recommended practice in software. Some teams don't like it though because it's expensive, because you have two resources on the same task. But I think initially in a team it can work great because you can work together and help each other accomplish tasks. Then after we go through the basics of collaboration, we look at design. How do we design software? So how do we use modeling languages? So in this case, the unified modeling language to design objects, design your workflows, and so on. Then we look at database design, which is relational databases. So we look at that. Then finally, domain-driven design. How do we ensure that our software represents the real world as closely as possible, so that it's flexible and it's maintainable? Then we look at other concepts such as test-driven development. So you have stable code, the code that tests itself, that validates itself. And then finally, in this stream, we'll look at the architecture. So how do you work with microservices, CQRS, and so on. So, but keep in mind that this will only be a tentative list, because as we go along, we'll discover and determine other parts of software development that you may want to learn. So I'm sure Arjay, for example, in the case of Arjay, he's an expert in front-end development, especially in TypeScript and JavaScript. So that's something that we can arrange for as well. And Arjay has been kind enough to offer, we can have classes for TypeScript and JavaScript frameworks. And yeah, so
Okay.
let us know if there are any topics that you want us to include here, but we'll do it on a weekly basis, and we'll be recommending reading material and stuff that you can practice with during the week, so that at the end of the week, you can then go through them and check if there's something that you have questions for, if there's a task that you can work on which is related to that topic, so you can really practice it and have it there in GitHub, have your work posted there. All right, so that's the development track. Any questions from anyone?
Looks good.
Great. Okay.
Good.
All right. Okay. Okay, so that's it. That's it for today's Fibonacci Scrum session. Please feel free to provide your comments and suggestions. And I wouldn't like to say that, but I think I have to say it. Feel free to like and subscribe in our YouTube Fibonacci channel. It's very cliche,
Okay.
but I have to say that.
Will
You
do.
forgot to leave the comments below.
And leave comments below. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your Saturday time. Have a great
No
weekend.
worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Elmer.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.